What up, everybody, and welcome to Late Night Live number 104. Where tonight we are diving into the wonderful world of business penmanship. Because, why? I need to practice. We took a week off last week. I hope everybody had a great week off. Had a good Tuesday evening or day. Hello, Marilyn. I'm doing quite well. How are you? What up, Z or Zed? How you doing? Nice to see you. Got my die right here. All right, business penmanship. I don't really have a plan for tonight's late night live, to be quite honest. I'm just gonna do some practice. I guess maybe I'll take some writing prompts from the chat, and I'm just gonna give a little practice, a little casual business penmanship practice tonight. Some people a few streams ago requested a business penmanship stream, and I liked the idea of doing it, but I never made a plan, basically. So do a line from my favorite song. That means I have to pick my favorite song. Can I do a line from your favorite song? Yeah, I'm gonna first start off and get my paper here. Probably have to zoom in a little more than that because that's pretty far away. That should be better, I imagine. What up, Skeet? Glad to hear you're awake and glad to hear you're ready to write. The big question, what am I going to write with today? Usually, business penmanship is written with a straight pen. Hello, Olivia. How are you doing? Usually we would write business penmanship with a straight pen, but we could use a straight dip holder. We could still use an oblique holder. I could use a fountain pen. I don't know what to do. I think I'm going to take the nib out of the oblique holder that I've been using here on my desk. We'll use the same nib that we've been using lately. So I think it's sharpened in nice. Now the pen I'm using right now is it's actually a new old stock fountain pen that has had the internals, the feed and nib removed and just had my camera can't focus on that little bit. It just had a regular metal flange slid in there. This was a gift from my good friend Mr. Eric Roscoe. And this is what I feel like I'm going to write with for at least a little bit. And then I might go to fountain pen in a little bit. Tony, what's going on? Nice to see you. Long time no see, Tony. It's not a Waterman, but it is a black chased hard rubber. Very similar to a Waterman. It would be like a Waterman, essentially a Waterman knockoff. I can't remember the name brand. It didn't have any markings on it. But I might have the story slightly wrong. But I believe the way it worked was there was this old fountain pen company, and the grandchildren of the people who ran it had all this new old stock. And I think they ran a fountain pen shop, but they didn't know what to do with all this new old stuff. It wasn't complete fountain pens. They didn't have nibs and things like that. So they found ways that they could just turn them into dip pens. And what I love about it is because it has a holder, just like or sorry, not a holder. It has a lid, very similar to I would say it's more actually like a Swan or a maybe Todd than a Waterman, just because of the way the shape and styling of the cap. But don't quote me on that. I did at one point know the brand, and I can no longer remember it. I'll have to figure that out from Eric, and then get back to you. Hall & Oates, you've got the body, now you want my soul. I'm gonna copy and paste that into a file because the chat's gonna go away and I don't want to lose that. See? Copy and paste that so I have it. Sweet. But yeah, the internals, I don't know, I think they might have had to bore out the internals just a little bit to fit just a regular dip pen flange into it. And it works. I like that it has a lid. I'm quite a fan of it. I don't use straight dip holders very often. This nib prepped and ready. Oh, I need a glide sheet. That'll get the job done. I believe there's a U in there. What up, Jay? Nice to see you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, Jade, you just ordered a t-shirt, did you not? I think, unless my email deceives me. In which case, that's exciting. Officially, I think, yes, I think officially the first sale coming from, there's been many people have ordered t-shirts, but it's the first sale that's come from my website and not my Etsy store. So, you are number one, Jay. Congratulations. I should send you some form of prize. Send him a die. He already has a die, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if he takes it everywhere with him, but I'm pretty sure you got a die when you were at Iampith, right, Jay? You're number two. All right. Well, today, my friend, you are number one. And you do carry it? Awesome, awesome. I have a few friends now in Vancouver here locally that keep them with them. And then I also have a few friends who don't keep them with them very often that I have to give a hard time. But I was out with some friends just the other day and we were all of us using the dice to make some decisions for us. Now I'm currently trying to break a habit that I have of letting the heel of my hand, it never applies weight onto the page, but when I write, ornamental penmanship and everything, I do write with a knuckle-up grip, but I tend to let my wrist drop a little bit. And I've never considered it a huge deal. It doesn't really bother me because not enough pressure is down that it affects my movement or anything like that. But I'm trying to break the habit just for the sake of breaking the habit. Because I would rather it not touch, and breaking that habit, well, it feels better to do penmanship without it doing that. So I can feel every time my wrist drops, and I'm trying to eradicate. What up, Lurker James? Oh, we got a new emoji from Lurker James today. What? I know it's not what this is, but it's, what is that little pink dude? My brain, when I first saw it, thought it was, you know the old cartoon, The Brave Little Toaster? To me, it looks like a pink toaster. I know that's not what it is. Oh, we also got a purple peace sign. No, not the peace sign, Marilyn. The first one that James posted. It's a little, I guess it's just a round face. I never use the YouTube emojis. You guys do, so I never see. That's fun that there's new ones. Warm up because I haven't written yet today. A pink fish. All right, got you. Business penmanship on a stream. I don't know what's going on here. Awesome! That's a good dog name. Toaster. I should watch that movie one of these days. It's been a long time. I think tomorrow's the day I'm gonna dive into Christmas movie mode. I haven't been doing any Christmas music or any Christmas anything yet. And I think tomorrow might be the day. Pink emojis aplenty. YouTube's getting all colorful. I'm gonna start my practice today after this line of ovals with some ascenders. Smooth out my ascenders. It's the never-ending journey for me of getting smoother ascenders. Will they ever look and feel like I want them to? I'm not so sure. Today I'm writing at 3/8 of an inch. Is my guide. 3/8, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is what the Palmer method drills are sized at. Business penmanship hairlines are so very light. I always find it fascinating that I can do these hairlines with this nib in this holder, but if I put this nib in an oblique holder, the hairlines are still fine, but not as fine. What's your go-to Christmas movie? I'll ask Jay because he's talking about movies, but everybody, what's your go-to, like, what Christmas movie gets you in the Christmas spirit mode? I feel like, oh, now I can't even think of my own. Die Hard, that's gonna be, I think, a lot of people's response. I sort of live in the world where, to me, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It's just a movie I watch around Christmas time. But I feel like that feeling has changed over the past couple of years. I might be a little more on the Die Hard is a Christmas story more than I used to be. I used to be very firmly in the Die Hard's not a Christmas movie camp. But that has relaxed over the years. Bad Santa, that's a I went through that series last year. Always a fun time. I think Home Alone might be mine. Maybe. I don't know if it's the one that gets me in the Christmas spirit. I know I watch it every Christmas. Are these lines too light? Can you guys even see what I'm... Whoa. I feel like that's what Die Hard does. Because it takes place at Christmas time. And I mean, it has a cult following of people who are die-hard it's a Christmas movie, people. But my thing was always, it's not like it's not about Christmas. It just happens to take place at Christmas time. What are you woeing at, James? Wizard of Oz. Interesting, Skeet. What do you mean, James? What's going on? We're doing business penmanship. Well, I'm doing a sender practice today. Is that what you're referring to? Or are you referring to the fact that we're talking about Christmas movies? Or are you watching a different stream? I mean, that is a classic, Tony. That's a good one. Oh, you know what's another one for me? That's, I guess it's not one that I maybe watch every, well, I watch it every year pretty much, but it comes a little bit later on in the list, and I can't remember the name of it. It's a stop frame animation movie about Santa Claus. Like he is born and the elves raise him up. I can't remember the name of it, but that one is one that that's an important one. And I guess there's also the classic Rudolph animated or stop motion animation movie. Bad Santa is a shockingly good, I mean, not shock, I guess, I mean, it's got good actors in it. It's a great movie. I really, really like it. Hello, Jose. Welcome, welcome. Santa Claus is coming to town. Wait, is that the name of the animation that I was talking about? Rankin and Bass, Santa Claus is coming to town. Boom. What else? There's so many good Christmas movies. I'm trying to think of all my classics. I have a bunch on my computer that I watch every year. A lot of the old animated ones, and then, but there's one that's on the tip of my tongue and I can't remember it. Which one it is? It popped in my head and then it disappeared again. What's it called? What's it called? Christmas movie. It's an amazing Christmas movie. Oh, because you mentioned Bad Santa, Z, also, Santa Claus, the Tim Allen series. I really like those movies. They are fun. Ooh, Love Actually, another good one. What's the one with Cameron Diaz and Jack Black? That's a Christmas movie, right? Trading Places, Samuel Jackson has to be in a Christmas movie of somewhere. That has to exist. The Holiday? Is that what it's called? I'm horrible with remembering names, apparently, of movies. Miracle on 34th Street, a classic, of course. Ooh, Muppets Christmas Carol. Good one, Georgette. That's a good one. Babes in Toyland. Ooh, I don't think I've watched that one in it's been some years. Wait, Muppets Muppets Christmas Carol always then also reminds me of... Oh, what's it called? When the Sesame Street Muppet and the Muppets all get together at Fozzie's grandma's house. And then there's the Fraggles are there. Everybody's there. What's that one called? That is such a good movie. I realized that business penmanship practice, the way I do it anyways, is not terribly exciting. I'm just enjoying talking about Christmas movies while I practice ascender strokes. Oof. My hand is rough right now. Charlie Brown Christmas, a classic, of course. I also really like the Mickey Mouse Christmas Carol cartoon. Is a good one. You never answered a question. I did not see your question. John Neal Books and Paper Ink Arts sell ferrules and quill nibs. Not vintage. Well, Paper Ink Arts used to have some vintage quill nibs. But yeah, I would go John Neal. There's some art stores sell quill nibs as well. Like crow quills, do you mean? Do you see this here? What happens to my downstrokes lately when I've been doing business penmanship? I'll do a large end slowly so you can see the last stroke on the end. Instead of coming down like I'm supposed to and going out, they end up getting this, they go back on themselves a little bit. They go too far to the left instead of just coming down. You can see on this one, they get that like a C, and I think it's because doing letters like the C and the O and things like that, having that curve, they end up being curved on the downstroke instead of a straight downstroke, which is a problem that I have to get rid of. How do we get rid of that? With, well, drills, I guess. John Neal doesn't have ferrules? I'm pretty sure Chris Yoke also sells ferrules, I'm pretty sure. Robert, the wobble. What wobble? Camera wobble? This wobble? Oh, is my camera wobbling now? Google it, Marilyn. Oh, the wobble on the end. Got you. Cool. Yeah, it bugs me. Because it happens when I get a good amount of speed going. And it happens on my downstroke. And I would like to eradicate that issue. I think it's when I'm going into the next stroke, like when I do two ends, the last end doesn't have it when it's just an exit, but when I'm connecting this one to that one, I get that little whoop, travel to the left. It's minute, but it's definitely there. And I would love for it not to be. Let me reference Palmer method here real quick. Where do they do the letter N in this book? There we go. I mean, it exists a little bit in Palmer's examples as well in his book. The nib in business penmanship, and when I'm talking about business penmanship, I know how to do business penmanship and I've practiced a lot of business penmanship, but the things that I say are by no means always exactly right things, because I am not an expert at business penmanship by any stretch of the imagination, but it is my belief that it would be not realistic for the nib to be aligned with the slant line with business penmanship, because a lot of them would do it in a straight holder or a straight pen, and in order for my slant line, like when I'm holding the pen, this is my natural, if I hold my natural grip right here, and if we take this T for example, or any of these ascenders, my paper would have to be turned way that direction, which means I'm just basically writing directly out from my body, which I can't span the whole width of the page, because it's a very unnatural, I mean, it's impossible for me to go all the way across. So I feel like that is not how it would be recommended. Let me zoom out just a little bit here. Because essentially, to my understanding, the way I would want, and I mean, everybody tweaks their paper and grip angles and stuff like that. But you want to have your arm essentially situated so we do move, like after a little bit, especially in ornamental penmanship, we only write like a couple inches, a few inches, and then we move our paper. But in business penmanship, a lot of the books talk about having your forearm set up so you can hinge all the way from one side of the page all the way to the other one. So you have that type of I mean, it was in Green's exercises, GC Green. GC Green? I apologize if I have that name wrong. But he actually recommends all these drills that go all the way across the page and stuff like that to get used to that movement. And if that's the movement we're using, it's impossible for the nib to be on the slant line. It would just be highly unnatural. Unless we were using, say, an oblique holder. That's the whole reason the oblique holder exists, pretty much. I have my paper is currently set up. I can't, well, I guess right there is good. I think I would turn my paper a little bit more angled for business penmanship than for ornamental penmanship. For some reason, it just feels more natural to me. I don't have slant lines on my paper today. I decided to let my slant lines just fly. I'm gonna let them be whatever they want to be today. But they pretty much always default to around the 52 mark anyways. Oh, what is in my nib? There's a hair or something. I just didn't want to reposition my camera because then when I do ornamental penmanship videos or something like that, I'm gonna have to redo it again, and I like having that camera mount just set up always the same. So we'll make it work for today. I'm wondering though, I might grab, just for the sake of visibility, see how this feels for a minute. So this is my Shown Design Pocket 6 with an extra fine custom nib in it that I got at the Philadelphia Pen Show last year. I was not there, but I had some friends pick it up for me. If anybody's gonna be in the Philadelphia area, I will be attending the Philadelphia Pen Show again this year. I'm very excited to be going there. What are the dates? January 13th and 14th, I believe. Let me confirm it on my phone. January... The Saturday, Sunday is 14th and 15th, so I don't remember what days the show runs. 13th, 14th, 15th, I think, is the show. Next year, yes, sorry. This coming up, this coming January, but yes, it is next year. You're correct, Z. Sorry about that. A little bit darker so you can see a little bit better. I think I might switch back in a bit, but for right now, oh, you'll have a wonderful time there, Marilyn. That'll be great. It's coming up pretty quick. Oh, I'm not supposed to do that descender in business penmanship, I guess. Well, yeah, if you're going from basically any pointed pen nib back to a fountain pen, it's gonna be, well, blah, there's gonna be a lot of ink. Classic example, most people's favorite stock extra fine nib would be the Sailor extra fine. Many people, I mean, it's an incredible extra fine nib. But if we notice here, so here's Sailor Pro Gear with a stock extra fine nib in it, and it is, compared to the fineness of my dip pen and my previous fountain pen, I mean, it is exceptionally smooth. Whoops. Ornamental penmanship K. Oopsies. So that's about as fine as you get with stock fountain pens. But then my Pocket 6 has been custom, and then also the two fountain pens that I use for business penmanship or just for regular penmanship when I'm writing are that, and then my my Pilot Vanishing Point, or in this case, this Pilot Decimo is... Originally, this nib was in a Vanishing Point in the black bamboo, but I have it in this burgundy Decimo at the moment. And it is not quite as fine as the Pocket 6. But it is very nice and wonderful looking, in my opinion, and still extremely smooth. Whoops, that's not business penmanship. You can see my ascender strokes. That's why they need work. They're not super smooth and beautiful. My hand gets, for some unknown reason, my hand gets not tense, but in ornamental penmanship, my hand stays nice and relaxed pretty much the whole time. But when I do business penmanship, I don't know, I'm guessing just subconsciously the goal of a little more perfection and preciseness makes my hand get a little tense and I lose a bit of my motion. A little bit of smoothness. So I'll actually, which pen should I write with today between these two? The Decimo or the Pocket 6? What do you guys think? Pocket 6 or Decimo? I'll let you guys decide. I like writing with both of them, so it doesn't matter to me. Okay. Got the quickest were for Pocket 6, so we'll keep the Pocket 6. It is finer. Just has a little bit, it's the flow, and it could be low on ink, I guess, but the flow is not quite quick enough. Like when I do, say, that long downstroke for the F, it tends to skip a little bit. Except it didn't on that one. Ooh, rough letter forms there. Who ground it for you, Marilyn? Pablo, very nice. Don't believe I've ever used any of his pens before. Oof. Rough spacing and Russ everything. What up, Brian? Welcome, welcome. I mean, this is a Jovo, not a flex nib though. This is just a Jovo extra. I don't know how many X's. I had Gina did it for me, and I just said, make it as fine as you can possibly make it. And that's what she did for me. You write with a flat paper on your desk. I don't know exactly what you mean with a flat paper. With this, I mean, paper's flat. Sorry, I don't know exactly what you're asking. The writing paper. What about it? What are you up to this evening, Brian? Oh, I'm losing some of my quicker strokes. My pen's not keeping up. Dip it in water really quick. There might be some dry ink in the feed. Bend the paper over the corner. I mean, you can. It's not something I've ever done. I use paper on a cushioning surface like leather or something like that. And that is plenty. It gives me plenty of airy and bounciness. I don't usually, I know there are some penmen who enjoy writing like with the paper, like let's say this would be an extreme example, but if I were to fold my page, whoops, I dropped the book, so that it's fully bouncy, so that when I touch my nib, like it has a lot of bounce. The issue I have with that is normally I'm doing ornamental penmanship, and the amount, like the depth that I'm using is super, well yeah, I mean that's an exaggeration, not that much bounce, but the depth that I'm using is super important because that dictates the size of my shade. So I can't be having my paper moving more than I want it to. So I have a cushion surface so that I'm not hitting a solid hard surface like a desk underneath. But if the paper has, like, naturally any paper is going to have a little bit of give on even any surface, but if it has too much, then when I'm like applying pressure for a fraction of a second and I only want to go down, like say a millimeter to get the shade that I want, anytime the paper's in the way, or the movement just, I don't know, having the paper be too bouncy would bug me a lot. What up, Peter? Good evening. Thank you. It is chilly. I'm in a t-shirt. It's not super cold in my apartment. It's not the warmest. It started snowing today in Vancouver. But this hat just keeps me cozy. Like, I teach dance in this hat and stuff too, so it doesn't really, I don't wear it just when it's cold out. It's comfy. It keeps me comfy. Except when I teach dance, it has to go into dance teacher mode, which is like this. I have to flip it up like that so the ears go away from my ears so I can actually hear the music. Because when it's down, the music and the taps are muffled, so I end up playing the music too loud for the students in the class. So it has to go into class mode, into hearing mode. But I teach in this hat quite often. And people always comment, "Is your head not crazy sweaty?" And nope. It's a whole animal. I'm pretty sure it's a faux animal, for what it's worth. Ooh, my business penmanship needs work. It bounces around a fair bit. That's Skeet, that's one of the main recommendations, is just extra pieces of paper underneath your writing surface is what a lot of people quite like. I find that using leather and sometimes a single guide sheet underneath, but just the leather underneath gives me the cushioning that I want, so that's what I use. But anything like, a lot of people I know like craft foam, because it's quite dense, it just has a little bit of give to it. A lot of people really like that. Alright, Georgette, sleep well. We'll see you soon. Can I work the word writing? I hope I can. Sure. Writing. Ooh. Messy, messy, messy. Now, ideally, I'm always torn because I know a lot of the best practitioners of business penmanship don't actually write business penmanship the way business penmanship was taught to be written. And I know that sounds crazy, but a lot of the best examples and best practitioners of it use essentially business penman or ornamental penmanship fundamentals. Like, for example, when you see ascender strokes like that, where that's how we would do a ornamental penmanship ascender, and then we lift at that exact spot, we come back down, and we continue. So we're sort of pausing a lot more and getting things nice and refined as we go. But business penmanship was designed for business. It was designed to go quick and sort of non-stop. But I don't believe most people actually practice it that way because it's really, really difficult or virtually impossible to get it as clean as we want when we go really quick and don't stop. Like 2 ascenders in a row, for example. Good night, Robert. Thank you for hanging out with us. Ooh, practice for the Nutcracker. That'll be fun. You're very welcome for the inspiration. Have a wonderful evening. Yeah, give leather a shot. See if it works for you. If it doesn't, also just try a few sheets of paper. You should have, you need something under your paper. Regardless of what it is, just a little bit of cushioning. Because, like, if I was going to write the word writing and I wanted it to be super clean and nice, I would slow down a fair bit. I would keep my movements quick, but I would do something like this. Whoops, I forgot an I. That's okay. You get the idea of what I was saying. It's not super flowy. And the whole point of business penmanship is to get it done. It's to, because they didn't have keyboards and whatnot. They had to write really quickly. So it's writing quickly with keeping things smooth and nice, which it's not what I'm so much the best at yet. So that's why you'll see people writing the word minimum like quite quickly, and that's, I would say that's kind of slow compared to a lot of penmen who would go much quicker than I, doing stuff like that. That's okay, Peter. You don't gotta use a fountain pen. You can use an oblique holder. I was using a dip pen earlier, and the hairlines, you can see up here, the hairlines were just really hard to see when I was writing them. Also iron gall, so they were going down even lighter than you see them here. So I decided to switch to a fountain pen so you guys could actually see what I was writing. Because my ornamental penmanship with a straight holder and a pointed pen nib, the hairlines are crazy fine. I'm trying to get rid of that little reverse S curve that I get coming down. Hello, hello. How's it going, Annie? Oh, and my mom's here. Good evening, Mom. What am I wearing? No, it's not cold. It's not super warm. It's not cold, though. It's comfy. This hat, it keeps me comfy. This season, this is the pretty much that go-to hat that I wear every day. Outside, inside, doesn't really matter. It's just cozy. Also, I need a haircut, so it hides my crazy fuzzy sideburns and all that stuff. Better than any of my other hats do. I should write a little bit bigger doing business penmanship. I think we'll make our X height slightly larger. Is Lurker James still here? He never answered our questions earlier. He just said, "Whoa, what's going on?" and then disappeared. Nope, no shades in business penmanship whatsoever. There were the odd penman back in the day. I mean, because some of them, the books train you or tell you to use a straight pen, but many of the old penmen would use an oblique holder or whatever pen they had going at the time. So there potentially the occasional unintentional on capital letters and whatnot, but very, very fine, like not even something you consider really an accent shade, just sometimes a hairline shade due to the speed or momentum. A 3.5 millimeter, I mean, that's... Oh, that's good. I know my music was a little grindy earlier, it was a little choppy, and I'm not sure why. You could also use, let me see here. I don't think my favorite ballpoint pen, This is actually a Uniball Signo 0.28, but it's in a Uniball 1 pen body because I like the pen body better. And it's not good at going very fast, but the line is quite... It's quite nice and fine, but it has trouble when I do quick strokes. That is my ballpoint pen of choice. And then also you could potentially use my favorite when I'm doing art, my technical pens. This is the Rotring 0.13. Fun fact, all the sizes go like smaller and smaller, like 1 to a 0.5, 0.3. We have the 0.1, which you would assume is the smallest because 0.13 is a larger number than 0.1, but they messed up. The 0.1 is actually, I can show you, so long as it's not dry here, which I don't think it is. That's the 0.1. Whoops, words, can't spell. Versus for some reason, and it's documented like one place on the internet. I really need to make a video explaining that this is a thing, because I feel like a lot of people buy the 0.1 thinking it's the smallest, but it's definitely not. The rest of the numbers work. They go down and they get smaller and smaller, but the 0.13, and I've had multiple of them and it's the same case for all of them, is by far the finest of them all. It is a wonderful, if you ever need to line anything super fine, it is by far, in my personal opinion, the best option. You need a little bit of practice, you need to have a super light hand to use them, and they're a little more expensive, and you gotta take care of them because they will clog and dry up and things like that, but they are amazing pens. Yeah, the 0.1, the 0.13 even more so than the 0.1. They are not super fine, but if you have a fine touch, like earlier today, actually, just when I was sitting down right before the stream started, as long as you have a nice light touch, you can do all the same movement drills and things like that. But it is, they're designed to be exactly like more vertical when you're writing, but they totally work with a regular grip. And they give you a nice uniform fine line. Yeah, these are what I use for when I'm lining pieces. I keep the 0.1 and the 0.13 when I've been using them. If I'm taking a break between projects or whatnot, if I have them inked up, I keep them on my desk because every day I'll just do some scribbles with it so that it doesn't dry out. Because if you don't use it for some time, when they do dry out, they can be really difficult to clean. Larger sizes aren't as big of an issue, like when you get into the 0.3 or 0.5. You can usually soak them and shake the nib unit free, but what happens with the 0.13, and this is what I have to include in the video that I need to make on them eventually, is if it dries out even a little bit, if you shake it, the pin inside is so fine that it will snap. The weight is heavy enough that it will just pull the pin and snap the pin, and then it's completely dead, irreparable. It's busted. So you want to be super gentle with them, and just don't keep wet ink in them if you're not going to use them all the time. Ink them up, use them, clean them, and that's good. Well, they essentially die because of the dried ink, but you can soak dried ink so that it sort of gets not dried again. It rehydrates, but the 0.1 and the 0.13 are so fine that it's hard to get the liquid in there. But then what I found I just figured it out on the last one. You could hear the weight moving, but the ink wouldn't come out. The ink wouldn't write. And it's because the weight had snapped from the pin. And that's when the pin gets dried in the tube, in the barrel, in the very, very fine tip point. It dries out, and then you shake it, and it snaps. So then you hear the weight, so it sounds like it's moving, and it should be all good. But no matter how much you soak it, that little wire, the pin, is never gonna work again. So 0.1, 0.13, never shake them. Ever, 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 ever. Use them, slowly tip them side to side so the weight naturally will sort of dislodge itself. Soak them, tip them again, never shake them because shaking will snap the pin. The bigger ones, the 0.3, the 0.5 and whatnot, those pins aren't going to snap nearly as easy. So shaking them doesn't seem to be nearly as much of a problem, but the 0.13, they're expensive. It's about a $40 pen. So don't break it because they break really, really easily. This is my third one. It's taken me 3 of them to learn the proper way and not ignoring them when they have ink in them and things like that. But I really, really like them, and they're tough to beat. Sanders need work. And your 0.3, the pin might not be busted. It might just need to soak a lot. If you have an ultrasonic cleaner and can give it a soak in some cleaning solution, a lot of the dried ones can be fixed so long as that pin's not broken or bent. Too small. Oh, that's fun, just Winnie. Did it still work? Or does it still work? Your old one? If they're taken care of, I feel like they'll last forever. And even, so long as that pin isn't broken, you can buy them used and fix them or restore them quite easily, just with patience. get my ends are too sharp on top. This is where a cross drill exercise would come in quite nice. Not getting quite as much of that little wobble on the last stroke of the end now, which is good. What up, Hody? How you doing? It is relatively fine, this little nib of mine. Nice smooth movement. Never been to Hong Kong Disney. I've been to Japanese Disneyland. That was fun. The pizza is weird, but but I had a good time there. Too sharp. I too will be staying home on December 19th. I think December 20th, I'm going to watch Avatar though, I think. I didn't even know there was a Disneyland in Hong Kong. Whoops. The second one. I'll watch the first one before I go watch it, but I'll watch it in theaters on, I think, the 20th. You've never been ever? Yikes, Peter. But it is rather expensive, that makes sense. Business. Whoops, I meant to make that be a Y. That's fun. That's very nice of them. I feel that, Peter. I feel like it keeps getting more and more expensive all the time, too. I think I've only been to Disneyland twice. Twice? Yeah, and I lived pretty darn close to it in LA for quite a while. And I had a lot of friends who worked there, but never went very much. And I had never been to Universal Studios before working there. My first time going to in the park was my interview or orientation. Not interview, orientation, I guess. Because the interview was an audition, and it wasn't in the park. I've been to Disney World, though, one of my family when I was quite young. What did I do there? I was in a tap show for a couple years. We had a 4-person tap dance show that happened out in the street in Universal Los Angeles. It was a lot of fun. I'm sad it ended. It was a good run. Was a lot of fun. Yeah, my mom came and saw the show there. It was great. It was a good time. And I might be biased, but I feel like we added a little something to the atmosphere in the streets of Universal Studios, but it was only for a couple years. It was originally only supposed to be for a summer, and then it got extended and we were there for a couple years. Nope. I have friends who were in that show, but I never did. No Waterworld for me. We had our own dance show. There was a group of 8 of us that started it. It was a good time. It was a good run. can never tell, or I can never decide. Because I know in ornamental penmanship, the way we do this, the ascender like so, versus I feel like business penmanship is supposed to go all the way through. But I feel like most people still break it into 2 strokes, just like the lowercase t. I know there are some people that do the undercurve for the I, lift, come down and out, and there are people who go all the way up, like so. I'm always torn on which to do. Yeah, 5, sometimes 6 times a day. Yeah, we were construction workers, and we would come out and essentially 3 members of the cast would go out and just like freestyle and hang out and bang on big oil cans and scaffolding and stuff. And then another guy, usually myself or my buddy Chris, who played this role, we would come out, and essentially we were like the foreman who would get mad at the other guys saying they can't dance here, and we would be yelling at them, and that would sort of draw the attention of people around, and we'd be yelling, "You can't dance here," blah blah blah, and then I'd turn around and say, "But I can," and then we would do a solo, and then it would start this whole routine that we all would do for a few minutes, and that was it. Good times. I always also make my my exit strokes. You can see these ones that go way up here. Very business penmanship. I just kind of I whip those out, which not supposed to do for ornament or for. I do them very ornamental penmanship-shippy, not very controlled and refined like they're supposed to be for business penmanship. I just want to try. Sorry, I'm going to be crooked for a sec here. If I angled my paper more. I feel like that's the angle that I would rather write business penmanship at. Slightly more angled than what my camera's at today. But that's okay. I'm gonna leave it where it is, because I don't want to mess with the camera right now. There's a nice L. What's your snack for today? Honey Nut Cheerios, that's a good snack. I bought some multigrain Cheerios yesterday. That will potentially be a snack before bed. Oh, speaking of snacks, yesterday, for the first time ever, I ate a bag of chips with chopsticks. It's not bad. I don't like it as much as popcorn with chopsticks. Eating something like Cheetos would be much better, but just a regular like kettle cooked chip works, but it's not quite as good as popcorn. But I feel like that's gonna be how I eat chips from now on too, because I did really like having clean hands at the end of it all. Good day, sir. How's it going? Thank you. Keeps my ears cozy. Well, yeah, especially if you're using, Cheetos, Doritos, anything like that. Chopsticks will be your friend. It's just, the cool thing about, with popcorn, they're round, so it's easy to grab. The chips require a little more visual aid. You have to see the chip you're doing, and you gotta sort of... It's a little trickier to grab the chip nicely. Yeah, it takes a little more finesse. But it works. And it will probably be the way I eat chips at home from now on. Dried fruits make for a great snack. That works. I just really like chopsticks, I always have. Since first using them. Oh, did I do my Japanese lesson today? I think I did already. Yes, I did. Okay, good. We're clear. The biggest thing that I found actually, like for me, and I feel like most people are kind of the same, when I open a bag of chips, I eat a bag of chips. Like I open them and I eat them. I devour them. Nobody eats, or at least some people might, but I don't eat one chip at a time. You take them and you shovel them, and you open chips and you eat chips. I found when I open the chips and I use the chopsticks, I ate them slower because I was just grabbing one single chip at a time every time. And I got like halfway through the bag and I had had enough chips. So I closed the bag up and I ate more of them earlier this afternoon. So it I didn't just devour. I mean, it was still only 2 sessions instead of 1, but I ate less chips in one sitting. That's not to say that I couldn't have finished the bag, but I think just the slowing down, I like to snack, and at the point when I got through about half the bag, I was kind of done snacking. I had the snack that I required. So I stopped. So it gave me a little more longevity out of my bag of chips. Well, it feels weird to write this big. I never write this big. Feels bizarre. You gotta go get chips, Hody, now. It's decided. Too sharp. L to Y. I really like going from descenders or from ascenders. I like going from descenders to ascenders. That's what I was trying to say. Losing my hairline. For some reason. Dirty or just not keeping up? A very good question. So for me with BP, I was talking about this a little bit before you got here. I feel like I sit on the side of the fence. What I was saying earlier is I feel like a lot of today's best practitioners of business penmanship do it the same way that we do ornamental penmanship, with the example of like an ascender stroke. Like I know a lot of people write the ascender stroke like that, still in 2 strokes, which yes, it's always gonna get the best look. But if I was gonna write ornamental penmanship like that, I would rather just write. Sorry, if I was gonna write business penmanship like that, I would rather just write ornamental penmanship. I don't love business penmanship enough to really care to try to get it precise. For me, business penmanship was designed to be written quickly and to be written flowing and like non-stop. Obviously, there's certain spots you have to stop and moving the paper and whatnot, but like even the teachers that trained you to go from one side of the page all the way to the other, so you didn't have to just write in like a 2-inch writing zone. Business penmanship to me is like practical use of writing, so it's not supposed to be one little stroke, next little bit, like super precise and perfect, which obviously if I wanted to do an exemplar to look really good, that's how I would write it, just like with business penmanship. But I really like the idea of training and writing penmanship just going, which is why I'm currently like just going from like M to L and M to L and M to L without stopping, or multiple ascenders in a row without lifting where I would normally always lift. Like every ascender in ornamental penmanship, I will always lift after the ascender stroke. But I don't want to do that with business penmanship, because I can, but if I was going to do that, I would just do ornamental penmanship. Yeah, and I think that's the way, like I know there was a good discussion on that a while back on my Discord, because I was posing a question about how people wrote certain letters in business penmanship, and Marcus chimed in, because to him, business penmanship it's about that, like, it's written. Like none of the books, I mean, Mill's book, Palmer Method book, they don't break down the descender stroke or the ascender strokes and things like that. So I don't really understand why we do that for business penmanship, other than if we're trying to create a perfect example. But it wouldn't be called business penmanship if it was trying to be a perfect exact exemplar. It would be called, I don't know, perfect penmanship? Because business penmanship was for business. They had to write quickly. They didn't have time to stop and start and stop and start. So when I practice it, I try to keep going flowily. I try to keep my flow continuously moving through it, which it hurts my eyes because my forms suffer a lot because of it. Yeah, I mean, it's very true. The perfect, I mean, none of us learned from the people who made the perfect exemplars, so we never had, I like to believe that we never had them there to say, this is perfect, but, like, this is what you're striving for. If you're using fluidity and movement and whatnot, you're not going to acquire this, because I kind of believe a lot of them didn't do their beautiful, perfect exemplars that are in the books that we study. They didn't do those all with movement. Could some of them? Yes, undoubtedly. A lot of them, I mean, they were really good at that. But I feel like when they wanted their best work to look good, they would apply the principles that we use for ornamental penmanship. But that's not the business penmanship they would use when they were doing work with business penmanship, and that's not how they would teach business penmanship, I don't believe. So that's not how I practice business penmanship. If I want to do an exemplar that looks really good, then I will strive for the model hand and I will slow down, or I'll have to write the same thing a billion times quickly. But I'm not there yet. But it hurts me to see myself writing, because it's not as perfect as I obviously would want it to be, and as I know I could make it be if I lifted and wrote it the way I would write ornamental penmanship or something like that. It's a tug-of-war in my brain. I find that because of that, and I touched on this a little bit earlier too, I think my hand tends to... tense is not the right word, but my hand is tentative when I write ornamental or business penmanship, because it wants to stop like I do when I do ornamental penmanship. It wants to stop in the same spots, and breaking the habits of that is tricky. Yeah, exactly. I mean, yes, true. Every penman back in the day practiced business penmanship 1,000 times more hours than any practitioner of business penmanship alive today, I would believe. Even the ones that are like super dedicated and practicing it a ton, it doesn't even hold a candle time-wise, I don't think, to just even the average business penmanship practitioner of back in the day. Just because of it was a different world. I focus pretty heavily on I focus pretty heavily on, if I'm being honest with myself, capital letters and the flow and shades and things like that. I don't, nor have I ever really put as much focus and attention on the lowercase letters as I should. I have in recent, it's kind of what I'm doing today, but in recent, like the past year and a half, I've dedicated more of my private time to doing still what I would consider ornamental penmanship, but more lowercase practice and whatnot. And then that has sort of transitioned me to, I've just started reaching for my fountain pen just because it's one less thing to do. If I'm busy and my desk is busy and I just want to get some ascender practice or something in, I'll just grab a fountain pen now and start practicing business penmanship, which I can do ornamental penmanship, unshaded lowercase letters with a fountain pen, and it'll look virtually similar, but I want more flow even in my ornamental penmanship writing. So the theory is, the more I practice continuous, not stopping, the better that will get. And then when I apply the lifts and some of the lifts and stops that I use in ornamental penmanship, it's just gonna be better than my existing ornamental penmanship lowercase letters. And I won't have to lift as much if I don't want to, but it's just gonna help. They're both gonna sort of help each other as they move along. Don't we all, Hody? Don't we all? Is that now, David, do you think that's because you write a letter and it just doesn't stand up to the quality that you want? So you end up, like I would believe most penmanship practitioners today we get bogged down on one form, one letter, one word type of practice, because the larger form practice just doesn't stand up to the quality that we want, so we don't practice it as much as we should. Which is really just hurting us in the long run, because then we end up not practicing it and then it never gets better. Oh, now my pen dried out. Is it out of ink? Wait, that doesn't have to come off. This has to come off. Oh, the cartridge is black. It's not even see-through, so I can't tell. I might be running low on ink. That does make sense. And I would guess that your letters only look like period letters when you write them with lots of stops and pauses and things like that, which kind of takes away the purpose of letter writing because it then takes way too long. For me, it's when you mention grammar conventions, for me it's the content of the letter. I find that I can get a good looking letter down, but the letters that I write aren't as engaging to read. Like, just, I think what's in them isn't, it's the composing of the letter is the part that I feel like I want to work on the most, or that I need the most work on. That being said, I also would like to write them, yeah, just like, it's funny, I'll hear somebody read a letter from like their grandma, or like just a letter that somebody, a pen pal or something like that back in the day, and there's just so much essence in them. Like, they're just such a good read. And really, it's not like it's the news of the day or anything super important. They could be talking about the weather on the day they're writing it. But it's just the way that letters are able to be written and holding that, yeah, that emotion, that essence. My letters don't feel that way. At least when I read them back, they're a little too, I don't know, maybe they're like text messages. They're a little, yeah, they don't seem composed super well. And also, I'd like to be able to write them quicker, so that I can write more letters, which just equals more practice with that form of composing and writing. So I've been lately, like when even thank you notes and stuff for when I do blotters for people, I've been trying to stress less about kind of always when I write those letters, less about the quality and not worrying about having the perfect letter, but just trying to write something nice in it and getting it done quickly. So then it's just quick, long form writing. It's done, and then I can just do the next one. Yeah, exactly, because then, I mean, my stack of people that I owe letters to would go down incredibly quickly, rather than now where it's like pulling teeth for me to get out a good letter. And it's those two things battle, the slow writing versus the not great composing of the letter. Slow me down so much. It would be exceptionally satisfying to be able to sit down in an evening and just unwind from the day and write 3, 4, 5 great letters, chuck them in the mail the next day. The next day, write 3, 4, 5 more. Oh, I'd have so much correspondence, it'd be great. And the silly part is, I have that many people I can correspond with. It's just a matter of getting it done. My procrastinating, lazy self never seems to get it done. Here, I'm losing a few too many of my thin hairlines instead of figuring out what's going on with that, because I feel like I might be running out of ink. I'm just going to switch to my vanishing point, or my decimo rather. That's great, Marilyn. That's really good. I need to start doing that same thing, getting out. I don't know that I could do one a day at this stage in the game, but maybe like 2 a week. I could write 2 or 3 letters a week to get caught up. Oh, what ink is in here? There's a brown ink in here. I don't even know what ink is in this pen now. Oh, that's fun. How do you know it took her several days to write it? Does she talk about how long it takes her to write it in there, Peter? I did get your Christmas card. I think I showed it on 2 weeks ago. I showed it on stream when you were here, didn't I? Maybe you weren't here on that one. Yep, I got it. It's right here. It's within a hand's reach from me. There's the envelope that I got from Marilyn. I can't remember if you were here when I showed it or not. I did show. I showed the card on camera too. Thank you very much for that. Oh, that's amazing, Peter. That's such a cool, just like, context, and fully puts you in her world. That small point of time after the kids go to bed, but before the candlelight strained her eyes. That's so cute. I like that. Oh, yay! I will write you all back. I promise. Eventually. 3 packages. Uh-oh. Oh, Creso, you're very welcome. Sorry, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Creso? Creoso? Cresu? I apologize if neither of those were the correct pronunciations. Oh, that'd be great, Peter. I would love to, yeah. Check it on the Discord. I would love to see it. That last one was correct. Cresu, I think, is the one I said last. Cresu? I'll wait for a yes or a no. Woohoo! Okay, I will try to remember now. Thank you. Because I know that I definitely don't want to pre-compose my letters. I don't want to pre-write a letter, or like to plan what I'm going to talk about. I want to get good at just sitting down and just writing off the cuff a well-composed piece of correspondence. That is the goal. I need to practice said goal, but that is the goal. Control yourself, Pen. But sometimes I feel like that off into the weeds stuff is what makes letters so fun. Like, I like hearing about just sort of, not the, like, exciting news of the day, but just the sort of mundane, what's on your mind right now? I'm curious. Obviously, if it's a family member, back in the day, if they weren't in touch through social media or whatnot, or email and things like that, you want to know what people are up to, but just the mundane is so fun when it's told in like a artistic and not necessarily creative, but just when it's shared, it can be really interesting. I think that's the biggest issue I have with my letters, Marilyn, is when I write, it gets like overly formal. Like you start using the like wishing you all the best in your future endeavors. I don't say things like that. I'm a ridiculously casual, more so than I probably should be as a as a penmanship instructor and things like that. But I speak extremely casual. And I don't necessarily want to write exactly how I speak because that kind of gets a little too casual for a letter, but it's finding that like balance of what basically I want the person who's reading the letter that I sent to read it how they know I speak. And that's tough for me. Because it's really easy to come off a little too formal when writing a letter. I try as much as I can to not speak like the old letters that we study, like the period letters that are very... In this you have a specimen of my ornamental penmanship and blah blah blah. I try to not be that, unless I'm writing like an actual specimen for somebody of something, then I'll use that sort of structure just because it's the sort of traditional way they would send things like that, but it's very much not the way I talk. The way I speak, I should say. Perfect case in point of the casualness of my speech. But I don't know how to make the casualness of my speech come across in a letter without it being just mumbo jumbo. Basically, maybe I just need to try to just write a mic speech letter. Whoa. Come on, Ascenders. Can I write my nephew a letter for his birthday? I mean, I guess I could. I don't know if it'll get there in time. But I could. Good night, Mum. Ooh, Krizu, that's fun. You should write rhyming letters. The word sweet? Sure. Very tiny. I need to write bigger for business penmanship, I suppose. I can write him a letter and send him a picture, I guess. That's true. I mean, will it get there in time? Can I mail it and get it in time? If I wrote it tomorrow, maybe. I do have to drop some stuff off at the post office very soon here. But I can send him a photo and then give it to him at Christmas or mail it afterwards. It's a good idea. My hand just wants to write tiny. Even this feels like I'm writing gargantuan. Huge. Oh, not supposed to use that descender. For business penmanship. It was an extra fine vanishing point, but it has been custom ground to a finer than extra fine vanishing point. I don't know how many X's you would give it, but it is finer than the standard extra fine. This one was ground by Mike Masuyama. Did this one, yeah. It could be finer. If I ever see him again, I might have him take it a little bit finer if he can. Maybe. Oh, nice. Oh, hey, Mike. Long time no see. Good morning to you as well, sir. Whoa, what is going on with those ends? Yikes, yikes, yikes. Not paying attention. What is the style? Running man? Do you mean like running hand? Running hand is kind of it's the way I see it anyways. I see running hand as a very small X height variation of ornamental penmanship with a wide letter spacing. So between every space in letters you have quite a dash between each one. So it's written rapidly because each one has the quick dash and the lower cases are quite small. So the letters themselves are often, I find, not nearly as precise as you would get with a business penmanship exemplar, because they are usually extremely, extremely small. So you can get away with a little bit of inaccuracy and whatnot, I guess. Not inaccuracy, that's the wrong word. But when you're doing an O, for example, that's this big, I mean, there's a lot less room for noticing a difference than if I were doing O's that were... It's a lot easier to notice on like these O's that this one has a little wobbly thing there and that this one has like a little wobbly thing up there. Versus when they're smaller, are they all perfect? No, but you don't notice them quite as much. So to me, running hand is a really small X height, wide-spaced ornamental penmanship. And then not always, but I like the variations of running hand that still have quite tall ascenders and descenders. Like when they have like the G on running, we have like a really small, and then this G is quite, then you have like these still really long descenders and ascenders, not necessarily needing to be connected like that. That's just a fun way of keeping things going. Running hand is a very appealing appealing variation of the script to me. But it's, yeah, with journaling, anytime you're writing with it, like writing a letter, forget it, because you get no information on the page. That's one of the incredible things about, do I have it close here? Usually it's close. Oh, it's not in there. Where is it? I don't know what folder it's in. Normally I have a printout of the famous Mataraz letter that E.W. Blozer wrote. It's not perfect, but it's a great, probably my favorite example of a correspondence letter or of a letter. And the cool thing that I didn't notice about it until I really broke it down, and we have an old Late Night Live where I replicated that video and I talk about this a lot more in depth. But the coolest thing about that letter to me, other than it's formatted and it looks gorgeous, the letter spacing is tight. Like the letters are small and very tightly spaced, but it doesn't look small and tightly spaced. It looks somehow, it feels like magic to me, but it feels like it still has an airiness and an openness to it, but the letter spacing is very condensed. And he kind of did this by using, like removing, like let's say a word started with the letter A. He removed all of those entry strokes into the letters, and letters that any words that ended in S's never had exit strokes. It would just go S straight into the next letter. So that did help a little bit. But it's a brilliant example of ornamental penmanship condensed so that it works and you can fit a lot of writing on the page for correspondence, but somehow it doesn't look super squished, which a lot of ornamental penmanship written in correspondence for letters can look quite condensed because you want to fit in a lot of information. Like most people, when they write that letter, if you just sit down and try to write exactly what they wrote, you're going to fill up a lot more space than they do. And it's when you try to fill up the same amount of space as him, almost naturally, most people's writing is going to look like it's squished. It's going to look uncomfortable and squished. So it's finding that way of keeping things looking airy and spaced out, but maintaining the condensedness that's required to get a lot of information on the page. It's a great letter to study. I mean, most of those letters do that. It just, I feel like that one does a really good job of it. Not even, that's the wrong word. Oops. One of the things that I find so impressive about a lot of the old examples of work is touchdown accuracy. Like a great example of touchdown accuracy, which this one, the first hairline capital O that I did, pretty much exactly where I wanted it to drop down. Is it always in that spot? No. More often than not, I start too soon, so it gets hooked over, like most of these examples. Sometimes it's too short. Touchdown accuracy, when those guys are moving so quickly, when you're going at speed, and it like refers to ornamental penmanship as well. When you're moving at speed and you touch down, getting that touchdown in the exact perfect spot, is impressive to me. I too wish it wasn't a school night for you, Peter. Sorry that you have to get up, but thank you for hanging out with us. It's sleepy time for Peter. I want to see. First off, Palmer. Where exactly is Palmer's touchdown? Just because I'm curious. Where's capital O? That should be right at the beginning. Yeah, his touchdown is... it's touching. I mean, these are engravings, but... it's touching that point, so it... like, to hit that exact spot every time, it's very impressive. What about... what does Zayner have to say on the matter? Good night, Peter. Sweet dreams. Where's Zayner's capital O here? I mean, I'm assuming it'll be the same, but let's look. Why not? Here we go. Same idea, just touching. Sometimes, though, he has a couple that are going into that little loop. He has one that goes over too far, but they are touching. Right. Males should be the same, I imagine. Yep. These are narrower than the other two. And he has a couple that go a little long as well, but essentially just hitting that spot right where that upper loop, right at the apex of that little loop. Challenge. 99% of the time I drop too soon. If I slow down, but I don't want to slow down. I want to start. Because I can always stop here and get my flow. But then the whole thing doesn't feel right. I want it to start on the move. Right at that top portion. That one kind of touched in the right spot. A little fat O, but that's all right. Focusing on the touchdown more than I am on the oval now. That's the idea. Nope, too early. Ooh, my stomach's growling. It wants chips with chopsticks. Come on, touch the top. Oof. When I focus so much on the touchdown, being in the right spot, my oval goes all to garbage. Cold tea. That's the idea. Maybe it's not that I'm touching down in the right spot and that I need to bring my loop higher. Oui. So crazy to me that this would be an entire lesson in school. They would just work on this. This was, what are we doing today? This. For the entire class, just this. The teacher would be going around correcting people's this. So awesome. I wish I had a teacher that could just watch me and be like, nope, nope, fix that, fix that. As I'm going, that would be incredible. And I find, and a lot of people, that's a very good, well, I'll say it's a good point, Mike. A lot of people consider drills to be annoying and whatnot. I find them to be very relaxing, personally. I get zoned into them, and time disappears. It doesn't feel like droning repetitive practice when I'm actually focused on and paying attention to it. It feels rather zen. I don't imagine it would feel that way if I was in a class doing it with other people, because I'd probably be goofing off and not doing the work the teacher told me to do anyways, because that just seems on brand for me. Maybe that's the issue. If I'm making this loop so low rather than making it up here, that's what I have to do. I think. A little more. Well, the loop's not at the very top. The loop is like of the oval. The loop is, I guess, on the top of the, it's on the right side of the top of the oval. It's not at the very top. Because the whole thing, that hairline touches down at the top. And then the loop sits to the right of the touchdown point. I just think I do end up dropping my loop a little bit. Like a lot of these ones, my loops are quite low. They're not up here. Yeah, 1 o'clock right there. But the touchdown is right at the 12 of the oval. And that's where I'm not bringing that oval, my little loop up all the way to the 12 to hit the 12. Like that. Nope. Maybe it is a one eyelashed Mr. Potato Head. It's moments like these as well. This song doesn't work for it, but this is when I like to sort of, when I'm on my own, default to something that is in the rhythmic writing or metronomic writing, where I will play a specific song that is repetitive on that downstroke, and then I will go to that speed over and over and over again. Then that makes me sort of zone out even more, but not zone out in that I'm just going mindlessly, zoning out in, I guess zoning in more so on what I'm doing. Woo! That was a good one. Happy face. I like that one. Good night, Marilyn. Have a wonderful evening. We will see you next week. think I'm here next week? Yes, I'm here next week. Ooh, this song's quicker. Too quick. Onion. For who knows why. Dropping down too soon. Orion. Connect that. Oh. Need reference for practice. I guess I could use this, the old Palmer method clear piece of acetate, otherwise known as the shear over, as they called it. Oh, the sea is very round. It's the touching down point on this one kills me every time as well, because I end up starting too soon and it gets too much of a hook. pointy. That's better. So much hook. How do I just erase that whole bit? That's better. Challenging. Woo! Good one. Like, this is one of those letter forms that I feel like I do better when I just stop and go from not moving at the top. But that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. Like that. Not a word, but I like it. Gregarious. Why I'm so serious? I don't feel like I'm serious. I just kind of got into a bit of a writing zone and nobody in the chat was chatting, so I'm just writing. This is what happens when I practice, though. This is why a lot of my late night lives are playful, fun, flourishy, fun. Gives me time to stop and whatnot. Because when I practice, it's pretty much just hours of me sitting here in the zone. Yeah. Listening to chill music or a book. And then one of my favorite ways of practicing is listening to a book and then I just write random words as they sort of pop into my brain as I hear them from the audiobook. And then if there's a word that needs work, I just write that same word over and over and over again. Because I would like to get a little more speed in the writing I'm doing right now. But my form goes out the window when I try to pick it up a little bit more. Oops, shouldn't use that descender. I just noticed these 3 drills. Nice and on the baseline, on the baseline, on the baseline. Every single one, not on the baseline. It's the O-zone. It's true. It's easy to fall into the zone. Just drift off to music and you get super focused on just the forms you're making and comparing, and that's when I feel like the most growth is made. Whoa, started that one way too soon. Why don't I ever hit the bass line when I do those? I was earlier, not anymore apparently. Now I'm below the baseline. Overcompensated. That's better. Well, I think that is it for me this evening. The last sip of cold tea. And we're gonna call that a night. Super chill, late night live today. Did a lot of chatting for the first half of it. Working on nothing super specific, but just working on refining my business writing. Moving through it, keeping the rhythm going. I hope this was entertaining or fun for you guys. It's, like I said, it's not the most exciting thing to watch, potentially, or maybe this is exciting. I don't know. This is definitely something that I need work on. I don't know if I'll do a lot more late night lives like this because, like I said, I mean, let me know in the comments of the video if you think this is something exciting and you want me to go through farther. I can do what we have done in the past where we do more of actually go through some of these drills sort of week by week. Potentially should have done that today, but I was just kind of practicing all over the place. But if you guys are into that for business penmanship, let me know, and I can do some more of those, or we'll sort of drift back into the more fun OP stuff, and I will keep this style of practice locked up in my alone time. But yeah, I hope you guys had a wonderful night. Don't forget. No, I said that backwards. I hope that you are falling in love with the process, and don't forget, everybody, that life should be just a bit of silliness, really. Good night. Have a wonderful day, morning, night, or other time of the day. Bye.